For hard-earned thirst, you need a big cold beer. And that cold beer is ginger beer. You can get it playing White Room. You can get it playing with cream. You can get it playing with blind faith.
You can get it any old how. But as a matter of fact, I got it now. How are you? Chris Quinlan here, MelbourneMusos, Facechook live on Friday, the Sunday after one of the greats of rock drumming went to the great gig in the sky. Ginger Baker, the irrepressible rascal, really kind of a cranky old guy towards the end. And what was happening? I've told the story on social media. What happens? I was on the phone to my mate Tim Collopy. Hello, Tim. How are you on Sunday night? And in the background, it was going ping, 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 ping. I'm going, I'll get to it after I finish with Tim because I don't get distracted when I'm talking to my mates or my students or whatever. And then I came off, and then it was Markus, Saastamoinen. How are you? You were the first chap to tell me Ginger Baker had passed away. And then right on the heel of that, on the heels of Markus, probably the greatest Ginger Baker fan I know, and a dear friend down in Tassie, Brad Von Rock. Hello, Brad. Hello, Kate. And hello, kids, everybody down there. And it was like bang, and it was all over, all over social media. Then Matt Morgan came in. And then everybody. So I'm going to name everyone to begin with, and then I'll get on with the show. So Markus, thank you. No double dirty dipping tonight, mate. It's all about the ginge. Okay, Vale the Ginge, mate. There you go. Brad Von Rock, big fan. Matt Morgan, okay. Spike Kiernan, Ian Bettridge. Androo Marschall, why so influential? And I want to say hello to Tubby Wadsworth out there too, because I was lurking on your post, mate, and you were defending him like crazy, and good on you too. He's a bit of a scallywag, you sort of thing, so he's kind of the irrepressible kind of scowling old man towards the end. And I mean, we'll get into that in a bit, but let's get on with it. Okay, so I've got a couple of things. I've got my notes here that I'll talk about here. What I started with was the classic White Room, okay? Ba-da-da-da. And that's one of the Cream classics. I mean, if you're thinking about Cream, Eric Clapton, Jack Bruce, and our Ginger, the Ginger Baker, their two biggest hits, arguably, Sunshine of Your Love and White Room, okay? And what it is, I'll get stuck straight into it. White Room starts in 5/4. It's 5 beats in the bar, and it's based on a bolero, okay? So what you got is 1, 2 under 3, 4 and 5. I'll do it slowly up here. 1, 2 under 3, 4 and 5. 1, 2 under 3, 4 and 5. It's a bolero, okay? There are two kinds of boleros. You've got the Spanish bolero, which is made famous by Maurice Ravel, and made even more famous by Bo Derek in the famous film 10. Can you do it to a bolero? And it starts really soft, and it finishes with hopefully a big climax. Then you've got the Afro-Cuban bolero, right? And that's more straight. So. And there it is there. And the White Room was Ginger Baker's little, how would I put it, his little adding on to what was Jack Bruce and the lyricist Peter Brown. Basically, they came up with a song, and Ginger said, why don't we do the bolero? And then many years later, bastards never paid me a cent for that. They took all the bloody credit. And there you go. So there's all that. So that's White Room. That's one of the famous starts. It's in 5/4, okay? And then it goes into a normal beat with the kind of a beat that I explained last week for you, Markus, the skipping beat, which is 16th notes. Bum ba ba da da dum ba ba da bum ba da 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 dum ba ba da bum ba. Like that. So on it goes. So there's white room based on a bolero in Fife. Okay, so that's the first thing. I'll work fairly quickly because there's a lot to get through. Okay, now Ginger Baker, I can go to you, Androo, a little bit because of the question, why was he so influential? Well, Ginger Baker came up with a little bit earlier than all our, you know, the Bonhams and the Pacers and all of that sort of stuff. But yet he had the same, once again, I've mentioned his name before, one of the most famous of English drum set teachers, is his name's Phil Seaman, okay? Lucky Phil. And what it is he was like, he was like the central drum teacher in London and all that. And Ginger Baker was with him, I think, from the 50s into the 60s. Because he's a bit older than our Bonhams and all that, he started things off a little bit earlier, that kind of thing. And I actually finally found, by researching for this show, an actual recording of Phil Seaman with Ginger Baker when Ginger Baker had Air Force. Okay, now that was about 2 bands after Cream, or maybe 3. But what it is they did this wonderful drum duet. And to be honest with you, you could hear Ginger going for it in one channel, and there's Phil, and it's like an English Buddy Rich. And if anything, his chops, sort of thing, I'm going to say it around the other way, but Carl Palmer sounded a bit like Phil, if you know what I mean. I nearly said, Phil Seaman sounds a little bit like Carl Palmer, but you've got to remember Phil came first. He was the teacher. So it's a very interesting thing. He was very... very, triplety and Buddy Rich-like, that kind of, all that sort of business.